Okay, so the question is wildcard matching, that is Leetcode number 44. So what's the given in the question there? Uh, First of all, we have given the input string there, and there is a pattern there. So what's difference between this string and pattern? This pattern is nothing but it can contains the characters there, but along with it can also contains this comma sign there, and there's star symbol also with it. And like what is meaning of these two characters there? So basically, like whenever I'm talking about this test case, coming to this constraint part, so there's the size constraint on this s and p length. There is till the 2000 there, and s contains only the lowercase English letters. P contains since it contains lowercase English letters, but along with it also contains this along these two extra symbols there. Like what's the meaning of this? So the meaning of this symbol, it simply matches with any of the single character there. So this is the constraint, or we can say this is the specification of this symbol there. And now whenever we have to talk about this symbol, so this is nothing but it matches with any of the sequence of the characters including the empty sequence. Okay, so what it means, it can matches with any number of, or we can say any number of characters there, and it is also possible that it doesn't match with any of these, means it can also include the empty situations there. So whenever, let's say I'm talking about this, so there's a and a, there's a. Okay, so now we have to simply return whether true or false in case if whether we can match our p with s, or we can say whether we are able to match our pattern with our string there. Okay, so now we are seeing here, so here's only a there, and there's a and a, so a doesn't match with a and a, so there's a false. Now come to this part, there's a p there's a star there, and there's a a. So what it means, since we have a star, and what's the property of star? Star can match with any of the characters there, like it doesn't any constraint on it is limited only to one character there. So it simply becomes like it is has a power that it becomes like we can say in virtually it can become aa. So by this it become aa, so it match with s. Okay, so in that case we have to return true there. Now let's say I have to see for this question. So now here if we have to compare this, so there's a b, there's a a, so since they are not matching, so simply we can return the false. Whether if I have to come this to come to the property of this question mark, it has a property that it can match only to till one character here. So if even it matches with the character c there, but still there's a which is like different from this character b, so that's why we have to return the false. Okay, so this is the question there. Now come to the question part. So since we have to given the string and pattern p, okay, and I already explained you what's the meaning of this question mark there and the there. Okay, so now we can say, now think at every of the position we have the choices that if our characters matches, or we can say a question mark there. Okay, and what's the other condition? Let is there if there are the characters star there, means star symbol at there, so we have the choices there. So we can say at every step we have the choices. So whenever choices exist, so recursion comes into picture. Okay, so that means we have to follow the recursive solution path here. Okay, so since I'm using the recursion, so what's the meaning of my state? So I'm simply define of our recursion is like, so first of all this is a state of our recursion. So this is nothing but f of I comma j, that is it simply return true there in only the condition if our s, that is nothing but the till index I, if it matches, I can say if it matches our pattern, that is p till index j there. Okay, so this is the definition of f of I comma j. So there's a condition, it is only true in that condition when we have to say if our index the string till index I matches with the pattern till index j. So that is simply nothing but the f of ij meaning. And now what's the given in the question? We have to simply find the this f of n minus 1 comma n minus 1, because we have to find for this. So that means we have to return this value, so it calls for another of the state, so that's why the recursion tree is formed in here. Okay, so now let's say if I have to discuss about the other string there, so that to more clearly there. So we can say one thing here, I have to So I can say, let's summarize some of the points here, like what are the condition you apply here. So there are some of the key factors that we can notice here. We can say if our characters are matching there. Okay, what I'm trying to say, if our characters are matching, or we can say if there is a question mark there, so in that case I simply say both our see, first of all, in those kind of the questions, whenever we have the two things there or two kind of strings there, we simply associate two indexes there for pointing them there, so that to traverse easing them. So that's why I use the I for traversing along this and J for traversing along this. Okay, so that means this is our I pointer associated with this pattern and J pointer associated with this string there. Okay, so now come to this part. So we can say if our we have to start from the end there and end of there, means n-1, it is at n-1 and it is at m-1, and simply traverse to along the left side and see whether our characters are matching or not. Okay, now we have to see if our characters are matching. Let's say there is a F and let's say there also character same there. So if character same, so we don't need to check, so we simply move to our both pointers to the left side. Or we can say for question mark, so question mark means we have a freedom that we can take that question mark is simply become the replication of that character, so it also meaning the same there. Okay, so in both the cases we don't have to concern about that condition whether true or false, so this is simply the true, so we simply move to left side. Now what's the another thing there? Why it is not move here? Okay, so what's the other thing? If we have to find the start there, so now what we can think about it. Now we have the two choices here, like how we are saying about the two choices here. This is nothing but the, wait a second. Okay, so how is it goes on? So we can say that we can treat it as empty there. Okay, so in that case we simply move our pattern, or we can say we move our I pointer there, and another condition is we have to treat it as matching one character. So in that case we can simply move our string there, or we can say move our J pointer there. Okay, so that's means, so this is the basic thing, like how we have two choices at each index there. Okay, so now let's say let's take a case there. There's one is pattern there and there's one case there. Let's discuss these in below part here, so that you understand. I think it is movable completely, so let's say I'm write this again, so that too. Okay, so this is nothing but our P, that is denoting as a pattern there. It is nothing but the A, C, then L, then M, F, and similarly our S string is nothing but the A, C, and there's a star. Okay, now we have to see our I pointer is initiate from here and our J pointer is initiate from here, so we have to simply write this is our I there and this is our J there. Okay, now since we know we have to call for f of I comma j, because I have to make dry run for this case, so to understand clearly. Okay, so what's the n there and what's the m here? It is nothing but this is of 5 length, this is of 3 length, so that's why I have to call for the why this is not writable here. Okay, this is a 5 comma 3. Okay, so now we have to see there is a star. So since we have a possibility, there's a start, so we have the two choices. Either we have to treat it as empty, or either we have to treat it as a matching one character there. Okay, so let's say we have both the cases, and since the question mark has a limitation that it can match to only one character there, but it must be matching there in the condition there. It doesn't include the empty part here, but in the star there it have a choices. Either it doesn't match, either it to one character, either it matches to any of the characters there. It is depend on us. Okay, so now it has a two possibilities. Either we have to treat it as empty, so in that case what we have to do, so let's say if it doesn't match, it doesn't want to match with it, so in that case we can say we have to move our pattern there. Okay, wait a second here. Okay, so like let's say if I'm trying to here, so this is nothing. Let's say this is left for the tree for where I have to treat this star as empty, means it doesn't want to match with any of the character. So in that case we have to move our simply our pattern there. Okay, so we can say one thing here, actually I think like now I know how I'm confused here. So like there's a pattern there and there's a string there, so I write this as a, again the wrong thing here. Let's erase this part, so don't confuse it. This is nothing but the actually this is our string there, so like this is a wrong thing here. Actually this is our static part here and this is our pattern here, so that's why I've confused to here. So this is not our string there and this is nothing but our pattern here. Okay, so now don't confuse it. Actually our pattern contains some special characters there, but our string doesn't contains, it contains only the lowercase letters there. So like now it can be okay. Okay, so now it is true there. Okay, so and again here also we have to see this is nothing but the S and this is nothing but the P. Okay, so now I'm let's continue from here. Okay, so since here we have to treat it as empty, what is meaning of the empty? It doesn't want to match. Okay, so in that case we have to simply move our J pointer. So in that case we can say our I remaining the same there, but our we can say the J pointer becomes 2, means it doesn't want. So in that case our J goes to here. Okay, so now I have to come. Okay, and like what's is here the condition, like I can say it is as empty there, like you know you understand here. Okay, so this is the one condition, and what's the other condition, means now it wants to match with the one character. So in that case let's it match with it. Okay, so now only our I pointer moves there. So in that case our I pointer moves, so it becomes the 4 there and there's a J pointer remaining the same here. Okay, so now again we have the two options, either it goes to the why we have the two option there, or why the we have to see. Okay, actually we don't have the two option here. Okay, now since these are remaining as this is standing at here, wait a second, I actually initialize it with the wrong thing. Okay, let's do dry run for this. This is nothing but the we have to start this 0 1 2 3 4, so this is nothing but the 0 4 and this is nothing but the 2. Okay, now we have the two choices, because since there is a star, so in a star condition we have the we have to treat it as empty, or either it can match with. Okay, so if we treat with as empty there, so in that case we simply move our J pointer, so that means our 4,18 here. Okay, and if it wants to match with it, so now our it's become 2. So like I also write there. So here what is it? So here it is simply nothing but the A, then C, then L, then M, then F. Okay, and like this is the case. This is the case for our string there, and here's for matching. There's a P, there's a A, and there's a star there. Okay, this is our case. I can write this. Okay, so this is the case for here. Now when it comes to here, so what it means, it if wants to doesn't want to match it, so in that condition we can simply say it becomes simply A, C, L, then M, then F. Okay, and in the pattern side it only remains the P and A. Why it doesn't goes to here? I think you. Okay, so this is nothing but the P and A. Okay, so it means star doesn't want to match, and if it matches here, so it nothing but the A, then C, then L, M, Okay, and since it matches, so it there's a P and there's a and there's a star remaining the same. It means if it is possible that it can match with many of the again the all of the characters here. Okay, okay, so now I think that don't confuse it. Now we have to see here, so our I pointer is mapping to here, j pointer is mapping to here. Now we see since there's a character doesn't match here and there doesn't any of the special characters, so in that case it is not possible to make this with this, so in that case it is impossible. So we have to simply return the false from here. We can say we have to simply result false from here. Okay, so now here doesn't any of the answer possible. Now we have to come here, so here our I pointer mapping here, j pointer is again here, so here is a star pointer, means we have the two options there, so accordingly we make the two choices there. So like what are the options there? So if we can say it doesn't want to match, so in that case only our j pointer moves, so simply it becomes 3 over comma 1 there. And if it wants to match, so in that case it simply becomes a 2 comma 2. So like I also write what's the case for it. So we can say there's nothing but the a, then c, then l. Okay, and there's a m and it doesn't want, so we can treat it as a empty there. So there's a case for it. And now what's the case for if it want to match? So if there's a, then a, c, and then l. Okay, and there's a, then c, then a star remaining the same here, means it is possible that it wants to match it with it. Okay, now we have to come here, I points to here, j points to here, no any special character, no matching, means we doesn't found any of the answer from here. So we can simply say that we have to simply return the false from here. Okay, we can say the okay. Now we comes to here, here's the I and j. Since j is again at star, means again we have the two choices there. So make the two choices, like how to do this. So if we have to treat it as empty, so in that case our we can say our j pointers moves. And in that case if we have to matching with only one character, so in that case it wants to matching, so this become a and c, and this become a, then c, then star. Okay, and like sorry, I have to write the function case there. This is nothing but the 1, there's a 2 there. Okay, now we can write here like what's the situation of here. So here's nothing but this is a, and it doesn't wants to match, so a, c, and l remaining the same, and pattern become a and c there. Okay, and if I'm talking about this test case, like this state there, so here since it matches with one state there, so it become a and c, and the pattern remaining the same there. Okay, now come to here, there's a I and j, again doesn't any of the special, and it doesn't contain any of the special characters there, and since it doesn't matching it, means it is not possible here. So in that case we simply return false here. And now here there's a I and j. Now we see there's a j, again there's a two possibilities, and like what's the two possibilities here? So for which we have to treat it as empty and not. Okay, so if we have to treat it as empty there, so means our pattern is shifting there and the string is remaining the same. And in another case our string if matches, so we can say it becomes 0 and it becomes 2 there. Okay, now let's say there's it becomes a, c, it remaining the same, and now it become the a and c there. And if I'm talking about this test case, so it is nothing but a, because it matches, so our string reduces, and a star and c, it is remaining the same there. Okay, now we have to see one thing here. Here's the characters are matching, I and j are matching. Okay, so we simply go to our previous, move out both of the pointer. Now it becomes to a and a. So like I don't want to write it again. You have to simply assume it like it is nothing, become f of 0 comma 0. Okay, f of 0 comma 0, and since again there's a and j, these both are equal there, so in that case we have to simply return from that case this is nothing but the true. Okay, and like if you are able to find any of the case true, it simply returns, we have to take or value, so that if any of the branch gives true value, so it has to return the true value to all alongside, such that our final answer becomes the true there. Okay, so we don't need to like here it is also possible. Now it is a star there, it is a, so there's a case when it star doesn't want is okay, so there's a not case possible, because a star has two possibilities, either it can match or it is doesn't match. If let's say it match with a, so let's say these are the matching there, so the string is empty there, but pattern remaining the some patterns remaining characters there, so there's answer nothing like possible from it. But since we get any of the step as a true, so there's no need to go there. Like we again write one of the case there, ab, and there's a star ab, so we call 1 comma 1. Since b and b, I and j are matching there, so call for the 0 comma 0. Now we have a star. Star has a special property, either treat as empty, either treat with the match 1 there. So treat as empty means 0 comma minus 1, with the match 1 it become minus 1 comma 0. At 0 comma minus 1 means I is pointing to a and j is going beyond the boundary, or we can say p doesn't exist, means p get exhausted. So in that case, see, it is not possible, because we want our pattern to get matching with s, but p doesn't exist there. And now if minus 1 comma 0 means we want our our s gets exhausted, but p remain the same. But p, we have the p as a star, and star has a property that it doesn't want to match or it matches. So there's a one thing possible, if we had treat is as empty there, so in that case it is possible, so that's why return true. Okay, so now this is the thing there. So come to this part, like how to finally the recursion state is relation, we can say, like, and also we have to discuss the what's the base case for this. So for this we can say, so what's the base case for it? We can say if our I less than 0 and we can say our j is less than 0, so what we can say in that case, it is nothing but our both of the our string and our string and pattern is exhausted, mean both are the found, matching is found there, so we simply return the true there. Okay, so this is our base case number 1. What's the base case number 2? Let's say if our j is less than 0 and we can say I is greater than, it is nothing but the greater than, why it is doesn't write. Okay, so in that case what it means? It means our pattern finish but string doesn't, string remains, so means we simply write return false there. Okay, and was the third case there? Let's say we can say if our I is less than 0 and j is greater than 0, so in that case what it means? Our string finish and our pattern, now we have the two options. Now our string finish, so now we have to check our pattern. If we can say, now we have to check, and like what's which we have to check here, like if it contains all stars, so in that case return true, otherwise we can say else return false there. Okay, so this is basically the base case. This is very crucial, or very you can think this is, I think, don't confuse in it, this is easy there. Now we have to again write the what's the recursion relation of it. So we can say, I say this is a relation, like how to do this relation there. So we say the one thing, if our characters match there or there's a question mark, so in that case we can say our f of I or j is nothing but the f of I comma j, it is nothing but the f of I minus 1 or j minus 1. Means we don't need to check for this because these are existing or these are matching, so we simply traverse to left side, so that's why I comma j only. Now we have the again the second thing, if let's say our p of j is equal to let's say star there, so what's meaning in that case? So now we have the two things, either match empty or either match one character there. Okay, so in the both the cases, like in that case we simply write the I comma j minus 1. Okay, and like in other, if it is matches there, so it means I minus 1 comma j, and so you can simply write this as it is nothing but the we can simply write this do or operation of both these. Okay, so like f of I comma j is nothing but the f of this and this, and like this is for this condition there, and if else condition in all the remaining cases we simply return false there. So this is basically the all of our question there. Now comes to the coding part there. I think this is like a very long, becoming the very extreme part there. So coming to this question, this is the main function here. We have to simply solve pass our function I, and there's a j, I is as m minus 1 and this is m minus 1. And what's the definition of this whole function? There's a simple base case that we discuss later, ago there. If both are characters less than 0, both exhausted, return true. Pattern exhaust, false. I exhaust, now check if all of the remaining characters, if any of the characters doesn't star, means simply return false. If all are star, returns true. Okay, now check what's the relation if both our characters are matching or question mark. So in that case we simply return f of I minus 1 comma j minus 1. Okay, I minus 1 j minus 1. If we have to find a star, so we do all of these two conditions. So we do this one and this case 2, so we simply do the OR operation of this case 1 and case 2. Okay, and in the all else remaining condition simply return a false condition. Okay, so this is a brute force. And now talking about this, what's the time complexity? So like don't confuse it, time complexity is nothing but it is exponential, and space is of space for the recursion, and like you can say, so like this is are not acceptable in that case because exponential time is gives a TLE. So because we have the too many cases possible at any index. So now come to the memorization part, because whenever we have to do this make this recursion tree, we see many of the states are repeating, means simply overlapping sub problems. So to avoid recomputation again and again, simply storing. So how we do? So using the DP here. Okay, so that's why we use the memorization version. So what's the time complexity for this DP? This is nothing but the n into m there, and this is again the n into m, and like this code is again the simple, the old copy is like same the question. This extra part is we simply use the one DP vector, and there's what are the changing variables I and j there. These are the state of our I and j. So offset for I and offset for j is n and m, so that's why n into m DP vector, and all of the code same. So that's why time complexity and space complexity is this, and one extra space complexity is n plus m there also, that is of recursion stack. So we don't need to write this. So thank you.